Hey folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. You know what? Here in Georgia, okay, we're going to go to Pennsylvania here in just a minute, but here in Georgia, we have new voting machines, right? We had Stacey Abrams screaming voter suppression, and we have to have paper ballots. How many states now have new voting machines, okay? And this past November, all right, just last month, Pennsylvania used their new voting machines in an election that seemed to turn out to be a disaster. So before I bring my next guest in, the New York Times, this is everywhere, folks. You got to pay attention because this is some local elections in Pennsylvania, but we remember the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania waiting until about 2 a.m. to let us know Donald Trump won in 2016 as they were trying to look for some votes somewhere to maybe offset Hillary's loss there. And have they found a way to do that in 2020? Number 4. Put that up real quick before we get our guest. If you can put that up, I just want to show the New York Times headline. A Pennsylvania county's election day nightmare underscores voting machine concerns. How everything went wrong in Northampton County, New York Times. All right, take that down. Let me introduce my guest now. The Republican Committee, Northampton County Republican Committee Chair, Gloria Snover. How are you this morning?
I'm doing okay.
Let's go with everything went wrong. Let's go with the New York Times article. Lee, I have articles. I mean, there are numerous articles. A Pennsylvania county's election day nightmare underscores voting machine concerns. Let me highlight one more thing before I bring you in. Also, Reuters, and the reason this is important nationwide, Reuters has done a research story on 4 counties in America that they think are pivotal in Trump's re-election, and Northampton is one. So tell us a little bit what happened on Election Day, your new voting machines, as we get into this.
Okay, let me give you a quick backstory. Everybody remembers Jill Stein. She ran a third party between Trump and Clinton. Well, she sued the state of Pennsylvania after she lost, claiming that they couldn't give her a real recount because we didn't have paper ballots. We used mechanical machines in Pennsylvania. We had no problem with the vote. There were no complaints of the vote. But she sued the state, and we have a Democrat governor. He agreed to terms with her in a settlement that we would get all new voting machines that had some type of paper backup. So these are the Democrats deciding in Pennsylvania where we did not have problems, we need all new voting machines. We have a Republican House and Senate in our state house. They didn't do anything about it. There was crickets. They let it go. So we get the new voting machines. And let's stop calling them voting machines. That's a mistake. Number one, Americans, they're voting computers. Let's call them voting computers. They have software and they're programmed by humans who make errors. So don't call them machines anymore. Let's call them voting computers. So we roll out these voting computers on Election Day and it's widespread chaos. Machines are down all over. The software's not working. In an off-year election, people are waiting an hour and 15 minutes to cast a vote. They can't get the screen to light up. They have no idea if their vote was right. We have sworn affidavits all over the county. No one believes in the results. It was a complete disaster. So what do we do now? We paid $2.8 million for these voting computers, and they didn't work. I'm concerned it was a test run to destroy us in 2020 on Election Day year, that we will not be able to have a fair election in this county. That's what I think is happening.
All right, in this county, because Northampton, let me say this. Let me ask you a question. Didn't Trump get like 93,000 votes in this county? Because this is not just a small voting block. This is a major block, and you're only an hour and a half out of Philadelphia to where you start getting close to those Philly suburbs. Didn't Trump had like 93,000 votes there last time or something?
Yes, it was a county that flipped. It went Obama and then it went Trump. So we're what they call a bellwether county. But now we have all voting machines and our county is programming them. Now here's the kicker, folks. These voting computer companies buy your county off. They bought off the city of Philadelphia. they gave the elected officials in Philadelphia $485,000 to their campaigns. How can that be right?
Whoa,
And
whoa,
you're
whoa,
going
whoa,
to
whoa,
buy
whoa,
the
whoa, whoa,
voting
wait, wait,
machine.
oh, whoa, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. So what you're saying is the people that write the software that sold it to the city of Philadelphia or Philadelphia, actually, you could show that should be wrong to be able to do anything in voting and give to a campaign over $400,000 to the
Yeah,
city
that's according to
officials.
the New York Times investigation. It was like $485,000 went to the city council candidates in Philadelphia to their campaigns. And then they bought the machines. Now we're supposed to expect these machines are going to be programmed fairly. Maybe those city council members need to win for the next 10 years, right?
That's interesting.
So I don't know what happened in Northampton County. I haven't investigated. I haven't followed the money yet, but someone needs to investigate the money in this county to find out who got paid here, because they wanted them. We have a Democrat courthouse, a Democrat council, and a Democrat executive in this county, and they wanted these machines pretty bad. So I think there needs to be a financial investigation in this county. But citizens of America, pay attention. This company called ES&S, they own and operate about 75% of the voting machines in the United States of America. They could be controlling every election in this country.
Okay, so let's go. Let's go with the complete disaster. People waited in line for an hour and a half. Machines did not light up. Did people see their vote cast incorrect? And what are the results? Or what are the legal actions happen? I mean, are candidates of the race in Northampton County that day, because you had a lot of big races there, are they contesting the election? What's going on now?
Okay, so what happened is there were some races we expected to win, and we expected to lose, some expected to win. There was 3 we expected to win handily, and we lost to the Democrats. We did not have the finances a challenge. You have to have $13,000 in the first 5 days to open the machines. And we try to get the funding. We try to contact Trump 2020, RNC. I don't know if we got to the right people, but the funding didn't come through. But what's happening is there's a couple independent investigations being done. One, there's a professor in South Carolina that has taken this on as a pet project. He investigates these computer machines, and he has requested that our council in our county allow him to do an independent investigation for completely free so he can determine what happened before 2020. Now, also, going back to Jill Stein, the lady that sued the state and sued Trump, she is suing the state again because of Northampton County, claiming that these machines didn't meet their settlement, and she wants to relook at her case and have these machines investigated. So there's like 2 things going on at the same time here in Northampton County.
Well, the capital is Harrisburg. So what's coming out of Harrisburg as far as the governor's office concerning this? What are their comments?
Very little. We've heard very little about it because the Republicans and the Democrats struck a deal in Harrisburg. Harrisburg is very similar to Washington, D.C., maybe worse. And they're like crickets. They're turning a blind eye, pretending it didn't happen, pretending there's no problem, and they're just going to roll this out in 2020, which is a very big mistake.
Well, if this is not a problem, why is like the New York Times, and I don't want to highlight them as far as a positive, the failing New York Times, but why are all these articles, the Morning Call, the New York Times, surrounding this?
Bloomberg reported as well. Bloomberg's reported on it twice, Bloomberg News.
Right.
Because we have sworn affidavits. We have people voters that took the time after Election Day and went and did sworn affidavits in front of attorneys about not being able to vote. I mean, they always talk about voter disenfranchisement. Why is it voter disenfranchisement if Democrats can't vote? If Republicans can't vote, it's not voter disenfranchisement. Explain that to me. So we had a bunch of people that couldn't vote. When they went to cast their ballots, some were blank, some they couldn't read, some were missing candidates' names, and we're expected to, to accept it as a fair election.
Has there been a recount of the paper ballots or rescanning of them? Because I read has that been done?
Yeah, they rescanned them. Now, see, another thing that they will misrepresent to the people, when they say hand count, they make you think they're sitting there and counting them by hand. They're not. They're running them through a machine, which they brought here from Philadelphia. They brought a counting machine from Philadelphia election night and ran them through that. But see, we don't believe the paper's right because the company that makes this voting computer admitted in a press conference that the votes on the machine didn't match the paper. So which one is right? Because the votes don't add up for our county.
Wait a minute, because in Georgia, because I looked at our new machines, and there was a couple reasons I wanted to get you on this morning to just sound the alarm of Georgia here, because we have Stacey Abrams only lost by 50,000 votes, and we've had major outcry here that we have no real recount, no way to really recount our votes for paper ballots. And I don't know the number of states, but multiple states since the last election has changed to somewhat of like a Pennsylvania system. So we're supposed to be getting a receipt, what we call a receipt.
Yeah, but that's no good. That's no good, folks. You got to be careful, because there's a scan at the top of those receipts. There's a barcode.
Right.
You don't know what that computer puts on the barcode. In our county, statewide, Pennsylvania turnout was up 5%. In our county, it was up 30%. No way. I think there were way too many votes cast on that computer, and we're having to accept the results. There'd be no reason that our county would be different than every other county in Pennsylvania, that our vote was up 30%. So you have no clue what that computer machine is putting on that piece of paper barcode. It might say the name's right. If you look at the receipt and say, oh, yeah, that's how I voted. No, no, no. You have no idea what the barcode is saying, okay? People program these. They could be programming it every time Jim gets 4 votes, I want Sandy to get an extra 2. I mean, I'm telling you, we can't trust the computer voting.
Well, no, let me say this in Georgia, because I'm interested and I want to dig deep, and I thank you for your time. I know you're busy, but I want to dig deep on this because I went over to our local county here, and the lady that handles elections here gave me a step-by-step. I went over there, and they gave me a step-by-step of the new voting machine. So I go on a screen in Georgia, and I pick everybody I want, and then I hit submit, but I have not cast my vote on the screen. I hit submit. Then what it does is it will print out a piece of paper, okay? It'll print out a piece of paper, and you're 100% right. It has a scan code at the top. Now it has a list. It has a list. Now, I didn't vote in Pennsylvania because, I can't. I don't live there. So the point I'm saying, because I was there election day is the reason. What I'm saying is then it will have the barcode in Georgia at the top, and then it has all the candidates. So for me, it looks like that's everybody I said.
And you don't know what the barcode says.
But right, there's a barcode, but the paper looks like, yeah, that's everybody. And then I go over before I leave, and it goes through a scanner, and that's when I've actually legally voted.
Correct.
Is that what
is? Like I said,
is that what it is in Pennsylvania?
That's how it is in Pennsylvania. But what it is this voting machine company with your county, they do the programming. They can program it to do anything. It's a computer program, folks. They can program it every time you get 10 votes, cast a second one for your opponent. I mean, it can do that. They admitted that computer voting the results on the paper do not match. So which is right? Which is right? Just because I can see that paper doesn't mean it's right. That doesn't mean how everyone voted on that machine.
Well, here's interesting.
Right.
Here's the interesting thing. I always say, I'm not a computer scientist by any means or anything. I always say, computers are good for what goes in comes out. And so if you are running your vote through a computer and every 5th vote goes to a different area and you run the paper ballots through, if they don't match up and line up with that computer, what went wrong there? And I know that's what you're saying. Who is correct? Do you take the computer number or the paper number?
Right. We had a candidate county-wide for judge. They were reporting at the end of the night he had 0 votes, and people were voting for him. So that's how bad the computer was off. We had somebody that should have had about 30,000 votes have 0 votes, but then they have no idea if his paper was right either. So that's what I'm saying. It's a serious problem, folks, and you better follow it, and you better demand that you get third-party investigators or that you have a legislature that cares about it. Because ours didn't. Ours didn't care. We tried to contact them before we vote the voting machines. They didn't care. And now I'm concerned about 2020. I don't even think they can hold an election in our county with those machines the way they were on Election Day in 2019.
Well, all right. Two quick questions. I know you got to run. Are candidates themselves contesting the election, or is it just done and over with?
It's done and over with pretty much for the candidates. It's too late to really fight the result. However, I don't think the issue is done because I don't want to roll these out in 2020. We've had actual county council members who are Democrats say we want our money back. We want our $2.8 million back, and we're starting over. So, it's not just a Republican issue. It's complete bipartisan here. We have Democrats who aren't happy with the way it went down either. We have Democrats who said when they voted a Democrat, it lit up Republican. We have Republicans that voted Republican, it lit up Democrat. And, they ended up having to vote for people they didn't want to just to get out of the voting booth.
All right. My last subject, and we'll close. Philadelphia, because if you go back when Mitt Romney ran, the joke was that nobody even accidentally voted for him in Philadelphia. Not one accident. He didn't get a vote. Not even an accidental vote. And then Trump messed up their world, because when you start getting into the minority vote, Democrats cannot handle the fact that he is setting records with support from African Americans and several other minorities, and they can't take that. Last election, correct me if I'm wrong, Trump didn't do amazingly well in Philadelphia, but he got enough votes there to where the center of the state, they couldn't overcome it with Hillary. Am I correct?
That's right. Yeah,
right?
He actually got votes.
He got votes.
Don't get any votes.
But
so
I
that's
think
the real reason they want to fix it now.
Right. Are they really in fear of what happened last time with him getting votes, and now they won't report his popularity? Do you agree that with minorities, this guy's more popular? I mean, he might not be through the roof, but he's much more popular than any recent Republican with minorities, correct?
Absolutely.
And is that why you think they have to do something in Philadelphia? Because
it makes me suspicious because they have all new voting machines in Philadelphia, and the elected city council members were paid for them. They were bought off. So that makes me wonder, how will their machines be programmed? Who will program them? Because
as the joke, no disrespect to Pennsylvania, as the joke, they say you got Pittsburgh and you got Philadelphia and you got Alabama in between. But the truth is that if he would get enough votes, in the Philadelphia suburb area, right there's no way with the middle of the state he could lose.
Right. We call that the ring counties.
Right.
The suburban counties around Philadelphia.
Do me a favor one more time. Give us the company name and what the percentage, so our viewers can start looking it up and doing the research on it.
Okay, it's called ES&S. ES&S. And they supply like 75% of the voting machines in the country. And they're programming them and they're controlling them, and they're very powerful.
All right, you said don't call them voting machines. What do we call them?
Voting computers.
Voting computers. All right, any last words on this? And that's it.
No, go Trump. Trump 2020.
Trump 2020. Hey, let me ask. No, I got you here. What's the take of some of your Republican friends up there in the circle of you guys have met the Congressman Collins? Congressman Collins is defending the president
he's
here.
So popular here. Congressman
is he?
Collins he's very popular in Pennsylvania. Very well liked. People love that he's real. He's authentic. And here's what's going on now. There's a lot of controversy on what happened with this appointment in Pennsylvania. Rumors are going both ways. Some people saying that Trump did it. Some people saying that Kemp did it. We're trying to find out the truth here in Pennsylvania. What happened?
Okay, so you guys were hoping that Congressman Collins would get picked?
Absolutely. We want people that are going to support Trump agenda. We don't want another Romney. We don't want another McCain. We don't want any more of those in Washington. That's what we've been fighting that. We're fighting every day to prevent that. Kemp's not helping us either. I don't know where this came from, but I'm not happy about it. Neither are Pennsylvanians, especially Pennsylvanians for life. I'm seeing a lot of that on social media this morning. The pro-life folks in Pennsylvania are very unhappy.
Yes, I get it. Thank you very much. And we have Congressman Collins at 10 o'clock going to defend the president once again with these sham impeachment hearings. You want to make a statement on that before you go?
Yeah, they're definitely a sham. They're a waste of America's time. You know, the real Americans getting up, going to work, taking their kids to school, going to softball, going to soccer, going to football. You know, they don't care about this. And the sooner we put it to bed is better for America. We're defeating America with this impeachment. It looks terrible around the world. And the Democrats are doing it. Don't forget who's doing it, folks. Do not vote Democrat.
There we go. That's the final statement. You have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, that was Gloria Lee Snover. She is the Northampton, PA Republican Committee Chair. Am I supposed to disclose that's my sister? Maybe I'm not supposed to. But anyhow, but this is very important. And the reason we like to have Lee come on is because 2020 re-electing Trump is a national project we have to work on, not just Georgia. And these voting machines, start researching them, folks. Around Atlanta, interesting. DeKalb County, well, interesting. I'm your host, BKP. We're going to take a break, and then we will switch to the world stage and President Trump at the NATO summit. Take us a break.